Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Libra August 2023 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. So hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lauren. This reading is meant to be a look at the energy for the month ahead. Now, we're going to be diving pretty deep into this reading. It's going to be about 50 minutes or so. We're going to pull lots of clarifiers and some oracle cards as well. But we're going to start here by taking a look at what you're bringing into the reading or into the month. And then we're going to look at a theme that Spirit would like you to focus on for the month to really be able to embrace and move into by the end of the month so that you can overcome a block or a challenge and allow a level of abundance or spiritual growth to come in for you. And we'll see what that actually is as we get a little deeper into the message. So let's see here, Libra. What are you bringing to the month of August? Okay, so we have the Devil. Now, not a scary card. I know a lot of people will see this card and say, oh my gosh, the Devil. This card represents Capricorn. It also represents the planet of Saturn. There's a sense here of really, when this card comes out, taking a look at what you're holding yourself back by allowing yourself to be chained to something. A lot of times too, it can also be, there's a sense here of focusing on time. Saturn is kind of the great timekeeper. It's the taskmaster. And there can be a sense too of when this card comes up of really taking a look at where maybe we're overworking ourselves, where we have held ourselves accountable to certain things that maybe we can no longer meet. Or also taking a look at maybe where we're putting too many goals on ourselves with that Capricorn energy coming through. Sometimes it can be chaining ourselves to either a long-term goal or too many short-term goals that we simply don't have the time or the energy to complete. So as you're coming in, I think for many of you this month, this is actually a very positive energy to bring in on an internal level because it shows that you're going through a certain level of review, of really looking at what is holding you back, especially on a emotional and mental level. So we'll see here what Spirit wants you to really embrace in your external environment. Okay, so we have the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands can be a tricky card because it can be a card that is, it can almost be a chaotic card where there are too many people in the mix trying to have their input. It can be a card of competition, either healthy or unhealthy. And it can be a card as well as actually getting out there and seeing what you're capable of, kind of bringing your wand, so to speak, to the melee to see how you measure up. Now, what I feel for many of you is there's a sense here of really this month looking at where you've held yourself back, either from releasing a burden, and we'll see what else wants to come in here, but either held yourself back from either releasing a burden or held yourself back from maybe allowing yourself to follow a dream or just pursue something in a way where you don't feel like you're trying to do something but being chained to something at the same time. And where maybe there's been a fear either of kind of the chaos that might ensue if you change things up. This could be very similar or very much in the way of, if I stop working so hard or if I stop being the one that's focused on attaining these goals, all hell might break loose. And it's saying, or it could be the other way around where you're just afraid to get back out there again. There could be an element of that as well, where it's like, I don't know if I do change jobs or if I do try to go back and rely on this skill, like I might be rusty, it might be scary. Or if I do try to go back out into the dating world, it might not work for me because it's going to be just too much. So there's a sense here of really being able to, when this is what Spirit's asking you to embrace, is saying embrace a little bit of the chaos. The fives in the tarot really speak to change and freedom through change. So there is this kind of sense of that, what's holding us back with the Devil, and yet there's freedom out here, but it might appear to be a little messy. But that's life. When we change things up, especially when we go to free ourselves from something, yeah, it can feel a little like, in a way, it can almost feel like you're cutting a string that's long held you kind of maybe grounded to something, even if it has been a chain. And when you cut that, it's almost like you're free floating then. And where do I go from here? Now, your main underlying energy is the Three of Pentacles, which is a great underlying energy. It's one of looking towards the future of what you want to build. And it's also one of really looking at who you want to build it with. It is a card of community. It's a card of collaboration. And below that, we have the Hermit, which is Virgo energy, but it's also the energy of soul seeking, going within, kind of having that time alone to reconnect to your own magic. And then with Justice at the bottom, there's a sense here of there has been kind of either in the past, there was a rebalancing. Justice can speak to the divine law of harmony and balance. It can also speak to the making and breaking of contracts. So there may have been something that either a contract came in, whether it was marriage, whether it was a work agreement, something along those lines, and it might have caused you to reflect a little bit as to maybe there was a balancing of the scales and there's something that shifted in either your relationship to another person or your relationship to something in your life. It could be like your work-life relationship. It could be your relationship to your family, your relationship to how you connect with others even. Below that, we do have the Queen of Wands. So there's a sense here at the Queen of Wands that for many of you, it might have been a balancing of your own internal fire, of getting back in touch with what you're passionate about and really getting to that place where maybe a part of yourself, either that part of yourself was blocked, again, causing you to go within, or someone who embodied that energy in your life, there might have been an interaction with them. Now, the Queen of Wands also speaks to Aries energy. So there might have been an Aries in your life that either you had a direct connection to, or this person might have played a prominent role in allowing you to see something about yourself or putting you into a period of time where you had to kind of go within and really, again, kind of find that spark within yourself to really say, well, then if I can find this within myself, what do I want to build with that? What is my kind of long-term vision, and who can I find to help bring this to life? And I get the feeling that this month is going to be one where you might have a lot of people coming into your experience. And that might be, or there might be things coming in this month that you really feel like, wow, I wish I was free to do that. I wish I could take that opportunity. And yet you're sitting here feeling chained. And it's chained within. When we feel like we are tied to something, that is usually because we are making the decision to keep ourselves there. In this original Rider-Waite Tarot depiction, the individuals are very loosely chained. You can see here that the chain is just around their neck. They can take that off and walk away. The illusion is that they are bound by an external party. The other thing with the Devil to keep in mind for those of you who are dealing with the fear of moving on from a relationship or the fear of changing a dynamic within a relationship, be this romantic or maybe some other intimate partnership. The Devil can also be the flip side of the Lover's card in the tarot. So the Lover's card is number 6. The Devil is number 15, and it breaks down to the number 6 in numerology. So it truly is the other side. So it's where at one point that relationship had started as the lovers, two individuals coming together, equal partnership, blessed by the divine, and then somehow over the course of however many years or over the course of a specific time period, that then became a burden. It actually has turned now from that thing that you loved or that relationship that you loved has now become the chain that holds you back from going out there and pursuing what you actually want to build for yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. Let's get into the meat of your reading here. We're going to see now what the challenge or the block is, and we're going to dive into seeing what the blessing also wants to be that wants to come in for you this month. So we have the Four of Pentacles as your main point of challenge. And the Four of Pentacles really speaks to being at a place of stability where you have that kind of foundation in the physical in some aspect, but it's also where we are holding ourselves back. We're stuck. There can be a kind of stifled or the energy of we're afraid to invest, we're afraid to make a change in our physical experience, whether that's out of fear because we feel like we're going to lose something. If I do go and change where I live, well, I might have to pay more for my rent. If I do decide to commit to changing jobs, I might not make as much in that next job, or my benefits might be cut, or you name it. But it can be something where we're just literally stuck. We're sitting there stuck. And yeah, with the Eight of Cups coming in after that, there's something that it's time to walk away from on an emotional level. The Eight of Cups speaks to realizing that you have invested a lot of emotional energy into something that no longer is bringing any type of emotional satisfaction or fulfillment. And there's this feeling with the Eight of Cups that it's time to walk away, because there's it can also be from like the outside. People might even look at it and say, well, how can you walk away from 8 cups? Those are 8 full cups. And you look at them and say, because I'm getting nothing out of it, or because I have nothing left to pour into them. But there's 2 more cups from the 8 of Cups to reach the 10 of Cups, which is the true happy family. It's our heart's fulfillment here on earth. And there's a sense here with the 8 of Cups of realizing it's time for me to find better connections. It's also can sometimes be the realization that no matter how much we have in the physical, if it's not fulfilling until we emotionally connect that with another individual, because the additional 2 cups can be the 2 of Cups in the tarot, which the 2 of Cups card speaks to intimate, authentic connection with another. And I always get the feeling when this card comes up of the individual having everything on paper and yet coming home to no one to share it with. And so there's a sense here around that. And I think for some of you, there's a fear around committing to something, around kind of changing up your physical environment. And it's blocking you from really looking at what it's time to walk away from, or where it's time to change. This could be like saying, well, I don't want to leave my job, even though you've been over it for a long time. You know that no matter how much more you pour of yourself into this job, it's never going to be fulfilling. But yet you change yourself to it. It could be changing yourself to a relationship where you're looking at it going, if I just keep pouring a little bit more into it, eventually it'll get to the 10 of Cups, and it's saying, that's not the case at this point, and it's time to make a physical change. And again, this can be, apply this to any place in your life where you feel like you are not allowing yourself to move forward, whether that is in your work environment, whether that is in your relationships, whether that is in even another aspect of your life where you feel like you can't do something. This would be like saying, I want a life of adventure, and yet you feel like everything in your life is holding you back from even taking a weekend trip away. So keep that in mind, Libra. And again, I think there's this fear of kind of like the chaos outside, and it's saying the chaos is actually the freedom. The chaos is where you might meet people who have great ideas, might meet people. There's a sense here of, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to face the melee. I don't want to face having to get back on the horse, all those kinds of feelings. And it's saying, but this is where the freedom lies. And you might just have to go through a little bit of that kind of like, whoa, it's like being stuck in a house where there's a lot of like crazy people, and a big crowd outside, and you're like, I just don't know if I can handle going out into all of that noise. And then you open the door and you step outside, and people are like, hey, hi, what's up? Come on over, and yeah, it's chaotic and there's a lot of people, but all of a sudden you're realizing that a celebration is going on out there, and it's not as rocky and scary, or it could be something where people are like, come on in and practice with us. We're all having fun. So at the heart of your reading, you have the 2 of Swords. Yeah, the 2 of Swords, this is what Spirit's asking you really to embrace to help you kind of move through this energy. The 2 of Swords speaks to you've long been on the fence about something. The 2 of Swords can speak to looking at 2 swords of equal truth. and you're trying to rationalize it. You're trying, and Libra, that is your skill set, right? I mean, the Justice card is your card as well, but there's a sense here of you're not only the scales of divine balance, but you're someone who can see both sides to the issue or both sides to whatever is happening. And so you're trying to rationalize, okay, I can see this and I can see that, but the difficult thing in making decisions when you can see all sides or you empathize even with another side is that you have to realize with the Two of Swords, it's asking you to trust your intuition, to get out of your head and realize that at some point in our life, we will get to a place where we cannot rationalize our way out of something. We can't look just for the facts, or we also can't look to find the way that will not hurt anybody. There's a sense here of you might be able to see all sides of a situation, but you have to also trust what you feel is uniquely right for you at this time and what is going to liberate you from feeling like you're chained to something. So whatever you've been on the fence about, and most likely it is walking away from something, walking away from a relationship that no longer serves, walking away from a work environment that no longer serves, walking away from even a sense of community or family that no longer serves. But there's a sense here of saying it's time. And it's time to trust your intuition, what you feel, not what you think, but what you feel. Okay, because the Eight of Cups is all about looking at your feelings. So let's go ahead and see what the blessings are that want to come in for you, Libra. What does Libra need to know? Oh, that's a big story there. What does Libra need to know about what wants to come in for them? Oh, interesting. Okay, so I always call this my magic deck. There are multiples that come out in readings that are different every time. I mean, this deck is a traditional tarot deck with the same amount of cards that all tarot decks have, unless they have additional specialty cards. This one does not have additional specialty cards, and often the message that comes out, the repeated cards are different. If you watch my readings, you will see that pop up from time to time. So here you have two Princess of Pentacles, two pages of Pentacles. So these are technically the Page of Pentacles. This is saying it's time to move. It's time to get curious. It's time to go back out in the world to explore. Four of Pentacles. This is the individual who's clinging to his resources, his time, his energy, his money. He doesn't want to make the change, doesn't want to make the move. This is saying, get curious. Take one of those pentacles and take it out into the world and start to see what you can do with it. This is like saying, I have a little money in the bank and I'm going to see if it's time for me, what I can do with that. Maybe I can invest it. Maybe I can move with it. Or a pentacle could be a skill set. And you're like, what can I do with this skill set? I don't know. But I know what I'm doing with it now no longer serves. So it's time for me to get curious. And this would be like literally like if you know, let's say you're very good at doing something. Let's say you have worked for many, many years in the medical field and you're like, okay, I can't be a nurse anymore, or I can't do I can't sell pharmaceutical drugs anymore. It's just not for me. I can't do it. And this would be like starting to go out there and speak with people about what you could do with the skill set. It could even be where you hire a recruiter and you speak to the recruiter and you say, I'm looking for something that will capitalize on my skill set, but do you have anything out there that I might be able to transition into? It could also be where you just start to speak to people around you and you're like, I'm so ready for a job move or a career move. I don't know what to do. This is what I've done my whole life. This is actually what's kind of piquing my interest now. This is what isn't fulfilling currently with what I'm doing. And it's like just opening yourself up. And it's like, yeah, it might mean that your life might get a little shaky for a minute. But it could also be where someone says, you know what, would you like to try your hand at this? There is a sense here with the collaboration card of the Three of Pentacles. This is saying it's time to let others come in to help show you the way. There's also a sense too with the Three of Pentacles where two other individuals, each with their pentacle, each with their Page of Pentacle energy, greet your Page of Pentacle energy and they say, oh, we love your skill set. I have a different skill set. I have a different skill set, but yours would work perfectly. And when we bring our 3 skill sets together, or our 3 ideas together, or our 3 mutual investments together, this is, we all have a shared vision for the future. So there's a sense here of really digging into that for yourself. Wherever you are dissatisfied, again, relationships. I mean, if this is, let's say, around a relationship, this would be like literally going out there and starting to tell everybody, I'm ready to start dating again, or it's time for me to finally leave a relationship, and I'm going to start to ask people, their opinion as to how best to do this. And it might somebody might come in and say, well, this was the divorce lawyer that I hired, or this is how I moved on from my, rocky relationship, or, have you tried joining this dating app, or have you tried going, why don't you come with me? I like to go to this kind of fun meetup group every Thursday evening. You want to come with me? It's a great way to meet people. Like, there's something around this where it's saying it's time to get out. It's time to get out, get explorative, and see what your resources, if you take a little bit of it and bring it out into the world and get curious, where you're going to be able to liberate yourself from this kind of stagnation right here of just clinging to what is. Bottom of the deck, we have the 10 of Cups. Yeah, there's that 10. And I think for many of you, what's interesting is that by being able to speak to your skill set, or trying to go out there and share some aspect of what you have and trying to kind of see what you can do with it, it might start to connect you with people. And there'll be this feeling of, oh my gosh, that's what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for the collaboration. I've been waiting for the connection. There's a sense here of feeling like maybe you've been kind of out on your own for a while. And there's a realization, again, that the 8 of Cups can become the 10 of Cups through authentic connection with others. And maybe that's just the reality of what you've been craving, is finding those people who can kind of be that community, or that individual. It could even be in a relationship, finding that one individual that you can really connect with, that you have a shared vision for the future. And there's this decision of like, okay, I'm going to go out there and find that one. Okay, I'm going to pull some clarifiers. But if this is like your work life or something around a hobby or a passion, there's a sense, now, because these are pentacles specifically, there is a sense here more than anything around utilizing something in the physical. Like this could be like where all of a sudden you have more time in your experience and you're like, I don't know what to do with my time. And this would be like saying, well, why don't you start to go out and see, like, is there a place where you can, donate, be of service? You can actually volunteer. This would be like saying, you know what, I'm going to start to, now that I have more time in my schedule, I'm going to start to explore hiking in my area because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I've never done that before. Or it's, could be where, again, you have some money in the bank and you're like, let me see what I can do with this. Maybe I can book that vacation of my dreams that's finally going to shake off that dust of me not having gone on vacation for the past 10 years, or it can be, again, a skill set where you're like, I want to transition. I want to see what else I can do with this. And I'm going to start to be curious. There definitely is an element of curiosity that comes in here, gathering more information. This could even be like saying, if for those of you who are thinking of like maybe going back to get training or going back to get a secondary education, this is like saying, yes, do it. So just FYI, for those of you, if there was a question, if this was kind of that deliberation of like, should I go back to secondary school? Should I go back and spend that money to get that additional training? This could be like sitting there and saying like, you want to make a full, 180 shift in what you want to do with your career path. And you're like, but it's going to involve me having to study again for 4 years, or it's going to be a 2-year course and it's going to be, $5,000. But it's saying, but in the middle of this, there's something that doesn't serve. So at least that if you're out there pursuing something new, you're walking away from, you're turning your back on this and you're turning your face towards something that you know is going to be more fulfilling for yourself, or the hope is. And then that's where the journey and the faith comes in, right? Where you're like, well, I'm going to start the process and then I'm going to see where it takes me. But just in starting and initiating that process and facing the fear of the change out here, you liberate yourself from the devil. You officially take off that the chain. So yeah, 4 of Pentacles and the Moon. This says there are no guarantees. Yeah, the way is always going to be unclear. We could have the best laid plans for an investment. We could sit there and want to wait for all of the facts to come in and everything on paper looks great. And then we invest and we lose. There is always that chance. There's always the chance that we move to a new place of work and we don't like it as much, or we lose out on benefits or something along those lines, or we decide to invest our time in dating and the first couple people we meet are not the best, But the hope is that you grow, you learn, you develop you expand on an aspect of your life. And we can't just sit in a place of homeostasis, because that goes against the actual balance and harmony of life, right? Because we live in a world where change is the only constant. And yes, there's a fear here around the 3 of Swords. These are the wounds of the past. These are the ghosts that haunt us of the things that didn't work for us. And I can understand that. That's the fear, right? Of going out there, the unknown of I could be hurt again, or I could be on my own again, or I could lose out on money again. But there's a sense here of saying, but this time you're doing it with, you understand what happened in the past and you survived that. But with the 8 of Cups, it also says there's something that the 10 of Cups is waiting for you. And the 8 of Cups, you could sit here with your 8 cups and sit like this individual surrounded by all of the things that are not emotionally fulfilling, or you could trust that there is just 2 cups away, your heart's fulfillment. But there has to be that sense of curiosity around that. There has to be a sense of growth. Yeah, 2 of Cups and the Sun. The Sun is illumination. There is this month, I think, a very much the spotlight is on what is no longer emotionally serving or what is no longer emotionally fulfilling. And the 2 of Wands says it's time to make that choice as to a change in course, a change in direction. This can also be where you're changing how we do things. This could be like up to this point, you always did something a certain way and you're realizing, well, it's never gotten me to a place that has been good. And so now it's saying there's something that has been illuminated around this. Possibly this could be a pattern of behavior. Possibly this could just simply be, you know what, I thought putting my head down and working 60 hours a week was the way to get to, my 10 of Cups. And I realized, where did that get me? Definitely not to a place where I feel like I'm emotionally connected. In fact, all it did was bring in wounding. This could be like where maybe you were overworking and you lost out on a relationship because you were so focused on work, or you burned yourself out and you missed out on, really enjoying the pleasures of life or the money you were making because all you were doing was working. And there's a sense here of realizing something has to change. And you get that opportunity with the 2 of Wands to say, where do I go from here with the illumination and the now that the lights are turned on and I really see everything from this new perspective, what's the choice now to either change how I act from this point forward, like to realize if I do move into another job, I'm not going to fall into the same trap of being sucked into working 60 hours a week. I'm going to put up that boundary right off the bat to say, I'll put in my hard work, but I will go home at 5 o'clock just like everybody else does at the end of the day. And I will make sure that this time around, I put that boundary in place to begin with so that I do have a better work-life balance, something along those lines. Or if I do get into a relationship at this point, a new relationship, I'm going to realize I'm not going to hold back the way that I have in the past because of how I've been hurt. I'm going to go in and I'm going to, go in 100%, or I'm going to go in without bringing the wounding of the past with me. Or I'm not going to take on the entire emotional burden of the relationship. There can be that as well. All right. Because again, for many of you with the Two of Cups, in between the 8 and the 10, this can also be where maybe for some of you where if this is relationship or like any type of intimate partnership where there's this like a deep connection to a family member, a friend, or a business partner. This is saying the next time I won't bear the 8 cups. Next time it'll just be the Two of Cups, and it'll be each of us bringing our cup, and we're equal, we're authentic, and we're partners, where one person again doesn't have to pour from their cup into 8 cups and maintain that. It's that both people are just carrying a lighter emotional load. Okay, so Justice. Yeah, there's you again coming in. And also, it's interesting. There's a lot of your own energy in this reading. The Two of Swords is the moon in Libra. So Libra, here is your energy coming in again. So there's a double sense here of really seeing where your intuition is calling you to make a choice that's going to highlight an imbalance in your life and correct that imbalance. It can also be that you're looking at the making or breaking of a contract. And again, therein, making or breaking of that contract will help bring about balance in your life where there has been an imbalance. And that imbalance is where you've been emotionally carrying a burden for quite some time. So this is something where it would be like saying, I do have to leave this relationship because I have been bearing too much of that emotional burden. And I might have to look at getting a divorce. Now, this is just an example, but that, this could be representative of that. Or this could be saying, I can no longer work in an environment that takes so much from me emotionally. And I realize that there has been a massive imbalance there. And it's time for me to trust my intuition and understand that I have to break my contract with the place where I work and possibly sign a new contract or go out onto the open market and see what else is out there so that I can bring something within my life back into balance, back into equal partnership. And then we have the Emperor. Yes. Regaining control. Now this is a card of Aries as well. So you have 2 cards of Aries kind of peeking through here and one prominent right in the middle. Libra, Aries is your 7th house. So it is technically your opposing sign. And it's very prominent right now in your life experience because we have the nodes of the moon, which is interesting because we have the moon in Libra here. The nodes of the moon have just moved into North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, which means that actually your sign specific with the South Node in Libra, we're all being asked collectively, but you specifically, Libra, looking at where you have sacrificed your own needs for the sake of others and where you have not honored your own I, what you are here uniquely to do and fulfill and experience. And you're being asked to really release that and step into the Aries energy, which is, again, your 7th house, which is where we really experience our spirituality. It's where we experience kind of a hands-on experience of what we experience here. There's a lot of when we think about our opposing sign. So every astrological sign has an opposing sign, and there's a sense of the balance between those opposing signs. For Libra, you are really all about, again, seeing all sides, being fair, working with others, where Aries is all about the opposite of that. It's about the I. It's about initiating, going for what the individual wants. And obviously, both of those, that dynamic needs to have balance between the two. So there's always going to be this kind of give and take, push and pull. But for many of you, this is a time of a great lesson learning time of really seeing where you have truly sacrificed the self, the emperor. The emperor is the realization that you are the emperor to your own empire. We each are. We are kind of the sun in our own universe. No one else can live our life for us, and really no one should ever be in the driver's seat or sitting on our emperor's throne for ourselves. And there's a sense here of really getting back in touch with that feeling in your life, and to see where that has been taken away from you, where that authority in your life, you feel like you've given control of that over to someone else, which is the devil. How can you bring that back? And how can you bring the I back into balance through a decision that needs to be made here? Okay, so let's see what the Page of Pentacles or Princess of Pentacles. I'm gonna pull cards for both, so I'm curious to see what wants to come out. So you have the Six of Coins. Yeah, there's a sense here of really looking at what you need balanced out in your physical environment. And the Page of Cups. Yeah, for many of you, there's a sense here of really needing to get back in touch with your inner child. The Page of Cups is someone who just is in touch with their emotional center from a very innocent and childlike place. Six of Coins. Six of Coins is the understanding. It is actually the kind of lower arcana version of the Justice card. So it's the sense of the understanding of divine balance, that what we put in will be returned to us. It just might not happen right in the moment or in the way that we expect. But it's also a balance in your physical environment. It means that the giving and the receiving on both sides is equal. And so for many of you, there needs to be this realization of where there needs to be more of your inner child brought into your experience. There's almost a sense of going out there to seek fun, to seek what maybe has felt heavy for quite some time, and to realize that it's time for your inner child to come into play, and that somehow that's going to balance out your physical experience, or just this innocent emotional connection to your life again. Okay, so for the Princess of Pentacles here, we have the Two of Coins, or the Two of Pentacles, and we have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, okay. Then we have the Knight of Cups as your third underlying energy, and this is the individual who goes out ready to share their cup with the world. This is the individual here in the Eight of Cups who says, you know what, it's time for me to go on that journey. And he does so with faith. There's a sense of being like the faithful, the faithful knight, the knight that goes on the quest for the king, but does so with an open heart, rose-colored glasses, and optimism. And there's a sense that he's ready to go on that adventure, to hold his cup out, to see who will meet his cup. Where will the next connection take you? Now, with the Two of Coins and the Seven of Cups, the Two of Coins is the sense of kind of juggling the small day-to-day tasks. And sometimes we can get lost in that. And we can miss the opportunity. The Seven of Cups that can be opportunity when it's presenting itself like this, where it's the awakening to there's a whole world of cups out there, and we have to bring our cup authentically and optimistically out into that world to see where we might find other levels of fulfillment. This is like saying, yes, you might have to leave a current relationship, but there will be someone else out there that you can connect with. This would be like saying, yes, you might have to leave a career field that is no longer fulfilling, but there will be others, and get excited about that. That's the Princess of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, to see what else you can do that might actually be more in alignment with your cup. And what is that cup? That cup is your direct connection to your own spirit, your soul. That's what our cup represents. The needs, the dreams, all those things that make us unique, but how we emotionally connect to them, because it is directly our connection to spirit. And the Two of Coins says, where are you just getting lost in the day-to-day? The Page of Pentacles chooses one of those coins and says, this is the one I'm going to prioritize. I'm not going to just every day just keep juggling the same 5 tasks. I'm going to take a look at what I want to grow more of in my life. If we look at pentacles as seeds, that's really the message here. What do I want to grow more of in my life? What is that? Do I want to capitalize on a skill set and start to expand that by going out there and joining a course or signing up for additional schooling, so that I can tap into these other opportunities out there. I can see what else I can do with my skill set. I'm going to take a little bit of my money, and I'm going to prioritize that and see where maybe I can move to a new geographic location. I'm going to prioritize my, whatever it is. There's something here around saying it's time to stop juggling, and it's time to start prioritizing, and it's time to start getting out there and sharing. That is also the Page of Pentacles energy. It can be someone who is delivering a message or sharing a part of themselves with others. So keep that in mind. There's definitely something here I'm really focusing on to really capitalize on the abundance that wants to come in. It says, open yourself up. The 10 of Cups is what's waiting to come in for you, but you have to see the opportunity for it. You have to go out into the world with faith that you're going to choose to do something in a new way, and it's going to put you back into the driver's seat of your life again. All right, so I'm going to pull an energy oracle card here to get a additional look at the energy for the month ahead, for the month of August. What does Libra need to know? What does Libra need to know about action? I love it. Yeah, that's what the Page of Pentacles is all about. Action. Action. I love that it has the 2 horses here. This is very much resonates with the Chariot card in the tarot, where there is a white Sphinx and a black Sphinx, which represents getting basically our physical experience in alignment with our spiritual experience and moving. There's also a sense of getting your head and your heart in alignment and getting back into the driver's seat of your life and getting those horses moving again. So yes, this is a month where it's time to initiate. That's Aries. Aries is initiation. So really keep that in mind, that it's time now to capitalize on that energy. Capitalize on the North Node being in Aries, because it's giving all of us that superpower to initiate and to really release any ties that have held us back to where we are too focused on others outside of ourselves. Now, number 17 breaks down to the number 8. The number 8 is physical abundance. It's also the number of personal empowerment and empowered leadership. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull just a couple clarifiers. I want to see if there's anything coming out specifically around action. What to keep in mind as you're taking action. What does Libra need to know? So we have the 9 of Swords. Yeah, there's a lot of fear around that. A lot of fear around taking action. And I understand, it's easier said than done. It's like, oh yeah, make the change. Go out there and start talking to people about the new job you want, or go out and sign up for that expensive course to take. But there's something, and yeah, there is going to be fear. That's the 5 out here. That's why the 5s call us, there's an underlying understanding that there is freedom through change, because change is scary. But change is also what frees us from stagnation. It frees us from a lack of growth. It frees us also from a lack of realizing our own spiritual potential, because we're holding ourselves back. And I love this depiction because it shows that the 9 of Swords, these are just worries, they're thoughts, they're what ifs. And there's the one divine, spirit, and then the white crow coming in here that says, this is the truth. There's a sense of like, this is getting very spiritual. It's like the way is the truth. There's only, it's almost like getting really, really, really into relationship with yourself and your direct connection to your soul, to your spirit, to the divine, and allowing that to help dissolve the chains of anything you've tied yourself to physically, be that a person, be that a job, be that anything, again, that has really not allowed you to honor the direct connection to spirit that you have. Okay, so let's go ahead here and pull a Power of Surrender card, and then I'll pull one final card to get our final message for the reading before we end it. Let's see, what does Libra need to know? What does Libra need to know about where they should surrender or look to surrender this month? Okay, oh, you have 3. Okay, so we have surrender the drama. We have surrender outdated beliefs about yourself, which I absolutely love. And it says surrender your addictions. Yeah, all very important cards here. So surrender the drama. It says no matter how emotionally charged the situation, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly. And I like that. There's a sense here of, it's true, when we're looking to make a big change, we can't control people's reactions to that, right? You can't control a boss who's like, what? You said you were going to work for us and follow through on that project, until next year. And what do you mean you're leaving, or the significant other in your life who's like, what? We can't spend $5,000 on a leveling up training program. And you're like, hear me out. There's a sense here of, you can't control the external environment around you, right? That's the lesson of the 5. That's what makes change and chaos so scary, because we can't control those 4 other people that we're joining the melee with our stick with, right? That stick represents your choice here of doing something new, of going in a new direction, or working with a skill set in a new way, something along those lines. And it's saying you don't know how those people are going to react. All you can control is your reaction. But there's a sense here of getting very much, you can see here kind of like the wolf coming through and the owl. There's that sense of wisdom with this person who's holding their sword of truth. And they're saying, I don't need to get crazy and defensive and, be afraid of the drama. I just have to know that I'm connected to the divinity within myself that now needs to be expressed. And I'm going to calmly make my decision, and I'm going to allow kind of the chips to fall where they may. I'm going to allow people to react the way that they want, but I'm going to remain calm and centered, and I'm going to, and I like how it says, staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly. This might be where someone has like an initial outburst, and then they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. I hear you. I know you're not happy. I know you want to level up in your career path, or I know you've wanted to make a change for a long time. Okay, we'll find how we can budget the $5,000, or it can be where, your boss is like, I understand. Okay, I know. I'm the one that this is my business, and I know you need to go, and I can't force you to stay. And thank you so much for your years of work, something along those lines. Or you have a significant other who's like, what do you mean you want to get a divorce? And it's saying, we haven't been happy for a long time. It's one of those kinds of things where sometimes that's all it takes is you just being calm, and the other person, that's the point for them to realize, wow, yeah, you're right. Like, let's have that discussion. So keep that in mind. Surrender the drama. I love surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. It says, let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. 3 of Swords. Let that go. It says, then you can own your power and soar into your life. That's the Emperor. That's action. Yeah, you might have been hurt in the past, but that might have been a different version of yourself. When we think about our whole life as one journey of like our spiritual self evolving, opening up like a flower, if you will. There's a sense at one point we were only a little bud, and we were only maybe open this big, and we only had experienced a finite amount of ourself and our own beauty and our own power. And yeah, we make mistakes. We didn't know that we shouldn't work 60 hours a week because it doesn't work for us. We didn't know it was going to hurt other people in our life or hurt chances of intimate connection, or we didn't realize it was going to take a toll on our physical health, our physical and emotional health. We didn't realize that our own behavior in a certain pattern in a relationship led to an unhealthy attachment, or led to codependency, or led to a bunch of failed relationships. But now we know better. Now we've learned. Now we see more of who we are and what we want to bring to any situation. So there's a sense here of just don't fall back on the fears of the past or where things failed. Look at how far you've come and what you can capitalize on now, and just understanding you're choosing a new way from this point forward. Then we have surrender your addictions. It says, whether you're addicted to substances, food, people, sex, or overworking, take action to begin to heal the addiction and replace it with healthier alternatives. And this is, I think when people often, they'll hear this, surrender your addictions, and there's like this triggering moment, because deep within we all know what that is. It doesn't have to be drinking or drugs. It could be literally the person who is working 60 to 70 hours a week, and they don't know how to stop that. There's a sense of, because if you do stop that and you start to maybe only work a normal amount of hours, well, all of a sudden you're faced with the life that doesn't include other people in it, because that's all you've been doing is working, and you've only associated yourself with work. And now it's like, I don't want to, it's scary to see what my life is if I'm not working that many hours, or this can be, where you are so focused on your addiction to being in a relationship, and you're like, I don't know what I'm like on my own. And even though I'm not happy in this relationship, and I know on some level it's stifling me, I'm too afraid to actually have to take a look at myself and make decisions based only for me and not for other people. There's a sense here of really looking at what you are addicted to in this aspect of your life that is kind of stagnant or stuck, and really allowing yourself to release whatever that is, whether it is codependency, whether it is truly substances. You might be coming home at night and drinking away your worries, or drinking away the fact that you don't have somebody to share your life with, or you're not happy. It could even be binging on Netflix when you know that you could be out doing a hobby or networking with people and doing something that is more connected. There's something along those lines. So really take a look at that this month. Again, surrendering the drama, just be confident in your own decision, confident in the Two of Swords, where you are getting your power back, and the direction you need to go in now that's going to get you back into the driver's seat of your life, back into the emperor seat. Surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. You're a much stronger, wiser person at this point, and surrender your addiction. So again, whatever you're addicted to that's been kind of keeping you also stuck, or almost whatever the addiction is that's been forcing you to kind of not want to see the change that needs to be made, which can also be the Two of Pentacles, not wanting to see the decision that needs to be made, and you're just getting lost in every day I do the same thing. Every day I work too many hours. Every day I have too much to drink. Every day I focus too much on caring for everybody else and ignoring my own needs. Whatever you're addicted to. Sometimes we don't realize that actually a life filled with only meeting other people's needs, especially when it's at the expense of our own, is not actually the life we are supposed to lead for ourselves. There needs to be, Libra, you are the sign of balance. There needs to be a healthy balance between the I and the we in all of our lives. And that's just my personal perspective. But I hope you feel it. Hope you feel the same way. All right, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to pull a final card now, and I'll read the excerpt that comes in the book with this. So we have Spiritual Decree. Ooh, I like this. There's definitely a strong spiritual message coming in here for you. There might be like a spiritual awakening for many of you. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean religious. I mean, like, it could manifest in that way, but a spiritual opening is a reconnection to your own importance in the world again. It's a reconnection to you, to what you uniquely bring and what uniquely emotionally connects you to your life experience. So we have Spiritual Decree number 41. It says, you have been wondering what will happen next in your life, not realizing how much power you have to decide that for yourself. There's the Two of Swords at the heart of your reading. It says, what do you wish to have happen next? Are you willing to use your divine birthrights of free will, voice, and empowerment to set the cosmic wheels in motion? If your answer is yes, then it is time to speak your truth to the universe. Decree it, and you shall be it. You have been praying for help, asking for a map, and wanting directions. You are wise in the ways of the receptive, responsive approach to life. It is spiritually mature to trust the greater guiding power of the divine to direct your course, and yet the wishes in your heart are part of how that happens. Divine destiny is not something that just happens to you, but it is something that you co-create as a living spiritual being with free will and divine love beating in your heart. You are being honored for your ability to ask for guidance and wait for signs. You are also being asked to set intention and develop faith in yourself, to trust in what your heart yearns for. That's the Knight of Cups, the faithful knight that goes out there and with his heart on his sleeve. It says to trust in what your heart yearns for, what you love so much that you are willing to go through the discomfort of growth to see it come to life. It is time for you to have the experience of seeing your intention blossom into manifestation. This does not mean that you have to make things happen. You're not responsible for how your manifestation occurs. The universe unfolds according to its own genius, of course, but you are responsible for the words, beliefs, and intentions you express that are the seeds of your personal creations. The universe then responds in its own wise and powerful way. I like to see that it says also here, the discomfort of growth, that you're willing to go through the discomfort of growth, 5 of Wands, to see it come to life. There's such a sense here of really getting into, with, this all speaks to words, beliefs, intentions. That is the Page of Pentacles. Speaking from the place of what you are wanting to change. It says, when this oracle card comes to you, it is time to speak your truth. What does your heart truly yearn for? Focus on it and say it out loud. Don't be afraid to speak your dreams, desires, wishes, and fantasies. Sometimes it is only in daring to speak them aloud that we really understand what we want. This can be a terrifying, liberating, exciting, and life-changing moment. It is the moment that we grow into a spiritual adult, becoming willing to take responsibility for our own life journey. I love that responsibility part. We are the only ones that can live our life. It says, will you speak your heart truths now? Feel your words moving the energy from deep within, transforming your truth into sound and releasing it as intent into the universe. Don't worry about finding the perfect words. Just speak freely from your heart. Give yourself permission to express your deepest desires and then let go and trust. I love that. All right, Libra, I'm going to leave it here for you. I hope you all have found something meaningful, something hopefully liberating in this reading. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I look forward to reading for you all in your next Illumination reading for September. And I will be throughout the month releasing weekly readings for each sign that are about 10 minutes or so. So if you'd like to get just a little additional message for the week, you can subscribe to my channel and see the notifications as to when those readings are posted. All right, bye Libra.